What the hell is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome into another episode of the allegedly award-nominated, honorably mentioned, and now viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast. It's KB and DJ coming at you from Underground Studios. If you have no idea who the hell we are, because this is your first time stumbling upon us and you happen to be on YouTube, we are the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. DJ is my fourth co-host on this podcast and the anchor and the mainstay co-host on this podcast from here on out. I'm KB, founder of the podcast network, host of this show, and we talk all things pro lacrosse, college lacrosse, and just absolutely stupid stuff as well, all in between. And to get more in on the fun, join our Twitter communities at OTB Laxpod, because it's about to get bonkos in there over the next couple of weeks as the NLL season winds down, as the PLL season gets going. And I really hope that my microphone is working this week, because last week we had some technical issues, and I'm hoping we don't have that now, because that would absolutely suck for YouTube. But it is episode number 218 of OTB. Little housekeeping. Make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTB Laxpod. You can see it scrolling across the bottom of every single episode. So go follow us on the Twitter, the Instagram, all that good stuff. Follow DJ on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com, for all of our written content. We're going to have some PLL draft content going up on the written portion of this whole thing very, very soon. Can we please get a date, by the way, for the PLL draft? I need a date. It's
coming soon, actually.
We need that thing.
Saw Dr. Walters asking Mr. Mike Rabel about it. He said soon.
Thank you. Shout out to friend of the program, Mike Rabel. And of course, subscribe to the podcast feed. Just because we're on YouTube does not mean the podcast feed is like null and void and not, locked in. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. But if you're on Apple or Spotify, leave those 5-star ratings and reviews, because we say it all the time. If you leave the podcast reviews on Apple Podcasts, we'll read them on the show. Like, we will add that as a full-blown segment and couple it with now YouTube comments. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just search Underground Sports Philadelphia on YouTube, and you'll get episodes of Outside the Box every Friday morning, unless stated otherwise. If, games get moved around like we had this year with Thursday Night Lacrosse, we did a couple Thursday releases. But typically, every Friday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, you will have OTB in your YouTube feed. Potentially earlier, depends, but we try to coincide it with the actual podcast release. So go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss a single video that goes up on the channel. Like the video, subscribe, comment. Get the comment section flowing on these episodes. Let's have some fun in the comment section. I know one of your boys is going to be popping through when he sees your face on that thumbnail, DJ. First video episode of the podcast we posted. Where's DJ?
I'm not even on that pod.
Absolutely hilarious. The scenes. So subscribe to the YouTube and let's get the tube cooking with this premier and elite lacrosse content that we're dishing out. And of course, thank you to our sponsors who make this show happen. Tomahawk Shades, best small batch eyewear in the game. You guys can go to tomahawkshades.com and get ready for summer, because you already know me and DJ are rocking Tomahawk Shades all summer long at every tour stop we're going to be at for the PLL. And you can use our code USP at checkout for 25% off your entire order at tomahawkshades.com. That's promo code USP for 25% off at tomahawkshades.com. Kenwood Beer, Philadelphia's #1 light beer. Go to kenwoodbeer.com and use the Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. Philly only right now. I've heard rumors they're working on New Jersey, which is very exciting for our New Jersey listeners, because we got a lot of you guys. But Philly right now, you can use that new and improved Kenny tracker at kenwoodbeer.com to see who's got it on tap. You got to be 21 or older to do so, and of course, please drink responsibly. And the homies over at Bino Board. DJ, I got the phone call today from our accountant. The tax returns are coming. We're getting money back, and that means a Bino board's coming very, very soon. Going to be in the office, so when you get here first weekend in June, that thing's coming with us, and it's coming to every weekend on the road because we're challenging every single Lax dad in the parking lots, pregame, postgame, everything, to games of Bino. It's going to be on the YouTube channel, so sign up in the comment section, tweet at us, all that stuff. We're going to have a whole PLL Bino League rocking and rolling this summer on the PLL Tour. It's going to be absolute scenes in these parking lots, and you guys can get a head start. Go to binoboard.com. That's BINHOBOARD.com, and use code BINHOUSP, BINHOUSP, for 10% off your order. That includes the boards, any apparel, any added equipment you want to add to the board to kind of customize that thing. Go to binoboard.com. Use code BINHOUSP for 10% off your order. Coach Deej, we're on YouTube.
We're on YouTube, baby. Couldn't be happier. Boys are fighting. They're getting better. Put some Genos on the board today. Won some face-offs. Picked up ground balls. Defense, man. They finally laid some body today.
That's music to your ears.
Oh, just to see kids on the ground after they shoot or as they're coming through the middle was one of the best things I've ever seen. Like, they finally understand. Like, I broke it down to them today. I'm like, our goalie, Colton, Colton is your mom, your puppy, your dad, whatever you want to protect. That square in the middle is your living room. I was like, if somebody comes in your living room, what are you going to do? They're like, oh, I beat his ass. I'm like, well, this lacrosse game is no different. They
kick his ass, Colton.
They walk through that middle. You put him on his ass. It's that simple.
That's hilarious.
And they're starting to get it. So we're taking baby steps, and next year, the year after, teams around here better be real nervous.
That's gold. We got a lot to dive in. We're doing it big to celebrate our first episode on YouTube. We have a number of segments named after a lot of our pals in the lacrosse world. We're adding a new segment to the show this week that'll pop up from time to time as we continue on this journey of this podcast. We've got everybody's new favorite segment, which we'll get into later in the show. And who knows how things transpire. We might do the trifecta of all of them. Who knows what happens? But first things first, we got to get into the NLL Week 20 recap. What a wild week where you and I aligned on picks for, I believe, the second time all year. Because I do remember earlier in the year before, we were going back and forth, we aligned on 1 week and we were so bad. We were we can't do this ever again. And then we did it and it was kind of bad again. To recap everything that went down last week, Panther City pulls the upset over the San Diego Seals 11-10. Toronto does the damn thing and beats Halifax 15-7. Buffalo beats Georgia 18-9. Albany flat out embarrasses the Philadelphia Wings 11-5. The New York Riptide, the Island Boys, they win against Rochester 15-7. The Saskatchewan Rush make us look like absolute bozos. And I should have known in my heart of hearts, being that pending playoffs for Saskatchewan, which are pretty much null and void now, that was Sask Rush Hulk's final home game. I should have known that Saskatchewan was going to win. But they beat Colorado 9-8. And then Calgary does the damn thing for us in a back-and-forth throwdown at the Rogers Arena, all while capturing the Alterna Cup title, even though they had already gotten it from earlier in the day because Halifax dropped their game to Toronto. But Calgary wins 15-13 over Vancouver. Calgary's back. That's my takeaway from this weekend. This past weekend is Calgary's back. They look like a team rejuvenated. Jesse King, if they weren't so far down in the standings in the West, not that they're far down, but the overall weren't clawing back all season, Jesse King has a legitimate argument for being a second tier MVP candidate. He's been that good. Curtis Dixon's been on fire. The boy Christian Del Bianco's been absolutely spectacular. Calgary's going to finish at worst with a 500 record, at best with double-digit wins, which I don't know if we predicted that or not going into this season. We kind of predicted a little championship hangover, being that they're the longest defending champs in pro sports, but Calgary looks like a team that going into the playoffs, they clinched a playoff spot with their win this week too. They are a team that I would not want to face going into the playoffs.
Oh, no, and I think it goes back to the defense. Eli Salama and the rest of that defense has really stepped up in the latter half of this season, really making it tough on offenses, applying a lot of pressure, picking up loose balls both in their zone and in the neutral zone, and just getting into that offense and letting them work. I think they had some trouble defensively in transition earlier in the year, which was putting a lot on Christian Del Bianco. And now that that has been addressed, everybody can kind of just focus on their role, and the team looks great.
I stand corrected. We are looking real good with our Calgary predictions. We both had them going 11-7.
Let's
Boys, do the damn thing. Make us look good. I got to look real good after my Albany pick this year. I mean, we both do. You had them at 5-13. I'm at 3-15. Now they're on the verge of potentially making the playoffs. My other takeaway is,
Well, I have some leeway, this being my first season.
very true, of
confident
full-blown
in that.
NLL like coverage. You have been completely in there.
So, I mean, I ain't too mad. I've gotten a few predictions right and a lot very, very wrong.
Same.
So, I'm okay.
Yeah, I think that's my headline from this week is that Calgary's back. They're a wagon. The New York Riptide look great. You know, they are finding a stride. When their offense is clicking, they look fantastic. What I want to see more from them is just more consistent defense, which we got this past week. They just can't leave Orleman out to dry. Because when their offense clicks, they score. And they move the ball at a pace that not a lot of teams can keep up with. And I think it's a good sign that, like, even though the playoffs are kind of pretty much out of reach for them, they're putting a lot of wins together that are quality wins down the stretch. And that's a good momentum builder going into next season for them.
Yeah, I like that trade they made at the end of the year, picking up Tyler Digby and Ron John. One, I think Tyler Digby kind of came into that offense and added a brute strength kind of thing. You know, that guy that uses his body, gets inside, makes it tough for those defenders on the inside, makes them think twice, and opens it up for, you know, Callum Crawford, Jeff Teague, those guys on the outside to dodge and have open hands. And then Ron John just helped in transition and defensively. You know, he was a very key piece over in Colorado, and he's coming over doing the same thing with New York. So I think that trade really I think it not only boosted them, but it kind of reset them as like, okay, yeah, we're not going to make the playoffs this year, but let's focus on really setting a foundation for next year so we can add a few pieces and make a good push next year.
Yeah, 100%. I like their trajectory of where they're going. Halifax looks terrible. There's no easy way to put it. Like, ever since they started making these roster moves, they have looked bad. They look like a completely lost team that is trying to play catch up because their front office made all of these moves and adjusted their roster to be something they're not. And they had such a good thing going early this season. And then as soon as they made the move for Sean Evans, and this is no knock on Sean Evans, he's one of the best to do it, friend of the program, all that good stuff. But it just changed something on that team in the way that they play on the floor. And then they tried to overcorrect and make a bunch of other moves. And they just have not been good since Kyle Jackson left either. And it just continues to prove week in and week out. They have one win since all of these moves have been made. And it was against Rochester, which if they wouldn't have beat Rochester, that would have been the biggest red flag. And I would just say Halifax doesn't even deserve to make the playoffs at that point. But to score only 7 goals in a, old school North Division rivalry matchup, just not a good effort when, you have an Alterna Cup at stake. You're trying to cling on to the 4th spot in the playoffs potentially, and you have multiple teams breathing down your neck these final 2 weeks of the season. And sure, you have decent matchups, as this season concludes against the Riptide, which won't be easy, but on paper, you would suspect Halifax to be able to win. And then you play Rochester, but the way Halifax has been playing, it's not a lock that they win either of those games.
Yeah, and then you're not only that's some very dangerous water for them. Not only, do you start talking about dropping in the rankings, you know, possibly only getting that wild card, and you're talking about missing the playoffs. You're talking about going into playoffs if you do make them with horrible momentum. You lose these last 2 games, you've lost what is that, 5 out of your last 6? That's
If
not a
not
way.
more.
Yeah, that's not a way to go into the playoffs, especially with the teams going into the playoffs. I mean, San Diego, Calgary, Colorado.
Like, if the playoffs started today, they'd be playing Georgia round 1.
And I tell you right now, they play Georgia today. I think Georgia wins.
Oh, yeah. 100% agree with you there.
They're not in a position mentally.
I think no matter what, right now, in my brain, Halifax is a one and done in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think it's just mentally. I think they're not there mentally. I don't know if it was all the changes in the locker room, trying to adjust to the new egos and personalities of the new players coming in, or what it was. But like everything that happened just completely threw them off their game, and they're at an all-time. It's like they restarted the season.
They're literally like Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's like all the nations were getting along together until the Fire Nation attacked. And the Fire Nation in this instance is the trade deadline, because it's been like just before the trade deadline, it's been a tale of two teams. It's like Two-Face from Batman. Like, they have been really, really good, and then they've been really, really bad. And that was not expected after the start they got off to. Just a weird season for them, in my opinion. And then the other takeaway I have is the Philadelphia Wings absolutely shit the bed against Albany. Like, on the verge of getting shut out in the second half for the second time this season. You can't do that if you're the Wings. You have too good of an offense to, one, only score 5 goals, and one of them was kind of just like a ticky-tack goal at the end to avoid getting shut out in the second half. They were up 3-1 at one point in this game and lose 11-5. Like, that's just inexcusable. The defense fell apart in front of Higgins, and we've said it all year. It's kind of been like, we don't know what the situation with Brock Sorensen was. Hasn't played all year. But like, it continues to feel like they were banking on him playing and being like the centerpiece of the defense. That big body bully defender didn't have it, so they've had to adjust on the fly. And it's just been an up and down season for them. In a game against Albany that they should have won, it would have clinched them a playoff spot. And now they're fighting for their playoff lives with 1 game left against the Georgia Swarm in the final week of the season, when they have a bye this week and just kind of have to sit back and watch Georgia play Panther City and hope Panther City comes up clutch for them with TK at the helm for Panther City.
Yeah, like watching that game, the tail end of it, which I didn't get to see much, but like when I tuned in, I was like, I kind of just sat there. I was like, whoa. Because like, I mean, when I peeped in, it was like 10-5 or like 9-5. It was something crazy. And I was like, okay, I don't know what I missed, but it obviously hasn't been good. And that's like how it is with the Wings. You turn it on and they're either going to be, up 3 or 4, looking really good, having control of the game, or they're going to be getting blown out and have no clue what to do and how to fix it. And you bring up that point with Brock Sorensen. It's just like, when do you change your mind? And I don't put that on the players as much. I put that more on the coach. Like, eventually you have to change your scheme if it's not working. I understand you had something in mind. You lose a player, you try and adjust, it doesn't work, so you make another change.
And we've seen their defense work this year too, which is the strangest part. Is like, we've seen them play really well this year, and then other times it's been like this, where they just absolutely crapped the bed and left Zach Higgins out to dry. And I just don't understand on offense too, because obviously, like, a team scores 11 goals on you when you're the Wings offense, you should be able to win that game. Like, no shot at all, you should be losing that game. I don't understand why the Wings continually shoot from the outside when it doesn't work for them. We've seen it all season long. I've seen it in person. They continue to take these outside shots and like these like outer arc shots when they have the guys and the physical ability of guys like Matt Rambo, Blaze Reardon, Ben McIntosh, at one point Brett Hickey, Kevin Crowley can get inside. They have Corey Vitarelli. Like, that's 6 guys I just rattled off the top of my head right there who can crash the net and get in the goalie's face. Use your body to get in there and score. Because anytime that they've crashed the net this year to go in and try to get points, it works. But for some reason, they just go away from it. And I don't know if it's like they're scared to do it or what, or like they're just trying to not, get like crease violations or something like that. Like, it blows my mind that you have 6 guys who have the physical stature to go in and crash the net and score goals for you and have done it successfully this year, but just the scheme or just the decision making on the floor by the guys just doesn't allow for it or isn't calling for it.
My thing with that is, I mentioned it before, is their substitution game. Their offense truly believes they have to sit and wait for all 6 guys to come on before they can go. Like, they need to take advantage of the early looks they get. Those 9 times out of 10 are going to be the ones that they can get crashing to the net. And you have in your first 3, most of the time, 1, if not 2 of them are Matt Rambo, Corey Vitarelli, Blazer, like those guys that can crash the net. Get it to them, let them crash. Okay, it's nothing there. Pull it back out and then set up. But you have the time to sub behind that initial crash versus waiting to sub the entire time and then going. Not only have you, 1, let the entire defense sub on and get set up, but 2, you've now taken away 15, 20 seconds of your shot clock, and you're going on offense with 13 to 8 seconds on the shot clock. That's not enough time to run offense, get quality shots, or even, get more than 1 shot off. Because now if you go right away and you miss, you get the rebound, whether it goes wide or off the goalie, you have 18 to a possible reset to go again versus having 13 to 8 seconds on the shot clock and you have to go that one time because that's all you get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, they even went and invested in kind of smaller speed guys that can get inside as well with KJ, who's been fantastic. Like, don't get that twisted. Kyle Jackson's been one of the pickups of the midseason in the NLL across the board, if not the pickup of the midseason. And he's been fantastic. Sam LeClaire, in the moments that he's gotten opportunities, has looked really good, and I'm excited for his future on this team. But when you have guys like that who can use their speed and shiftiness also to get inside, that should be your number 1 like offensive game plan, is to go crash the net. Like, that works for your play style, that works for your scheme. Go do it. I need to see that in that game against Georgia, which, in the Wings' favor, next week, week 22, they've played well against Georgia this year. So that's a benefit for them. They've won 2 out of 3 because this third game has not been played yet, but they've won the first 2 against them. And I think that's big for them. They just need other teams now to kind of take care of business for them instead of handling it on their own, which is unfortunate. But week 20, those were kind of the headlines for me. Anything else stick out to you, DJ?
No, that was pretty similar. Maybe Panther City. They're still pushing. They're still trying to, get into that playoff. They're an interesting team to watch. I'm wondering with, the guys they picked up in the expansion and then the rookies, who's leading?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a push from the younger guys to prove that this team is good enough? Or is it a, hey, we've been here before, let us kind of take the ropes and show you what's going on? So I'm interested to kind of watch, or is, Coach TK just taking the whole realm over everything and being like, hey, this is how it runs. I've been with the Wings. This is, this is
been
what
in this league. Do. He's played in the NLL.
Yeah, he's like, this is how you get to the playoffs. This is how you win a playoff game. So there's a lot of different avenues they could be possibly taking. So I'm interested to watch and see, what happens over the next 2 weeks if they're able to squeeze into the playoff. And if they do, what happens then? Because everybody knows you just got to get there. That's what matters. You just got to get there. then it's a total reset, and it's one game at a time.
Exactly. Until you get to that championship. It's literally one game at a time. Also, shout out to our pals, the Calgary Roughnecks, taking home the very first Alterna Cup. Very cool to watch. You know, it's like it's still the defending champs. They still are bringing home trophies. So that's very cool. Shout out to Calgary for taking home the Alterna Cup. Got a couple boys now, Alterna Cup champs, Curtis Dixon, Christian Del Bianco, and future podcast guest Jesse King. So shout out to the boys for getting it done and taking home the Alterna Cup. The standings look like this right now, DJ. We'll start with the East, which here are the letter codes here when I read these off too. X, you clinched a playoff berth. Y, you clinched a division title. Z, you clinched the top overall seed. The Buffalo Bandits, they have X, Y, and Z. They're like the Magnet Warriors from Yu-Gi-Oh! They're 14-3. They are the top seed. They will be your 1 seed in the playoffs. They have, I think, 2 more games left. No, 1. Math is hard. So, I mean, they could finish 15-3 or 14-4, which I believe is very on par with our picks for the Buffalo Bandits, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to pull them up right here. DJ, you had them at 13-5, so pretty close. And I also had them at 13-5. We were very, very close. Buffalo outperformed our expectations, which 13-5 is nothing to sneeze at. Like, Toronto could finish with that and finish in second place. Toronto is in the playoffs. They are the number 2 seed right now, and it looks to be like they will be the 2 seed at 12-5. Halifax right now sitting in that 3 seed at 9-7. We'll see if that lasts. Georgia is your 4 seed at 8-8. Albany would be your wild card right now at 8-9. The Wings are at 8-9, but Albany has the season tiebreaker over them, so that's what knocks the Wings out of the playoffs right now. New York is at 6-10, and Rochester in the basement and going to be on the clock with the number 1 overall pick when the draft rolls around at 3-13. And then we have in the West, still in first place, clinched a playoff spot, the Colorado Mammoth at 10-7. The San Diego Seals in second place with a playoff spot clinched at 9-7. The Calgary Roughnecks with a playoff spot clinched also at 9-7. Panther City clinging on for dear life for a wild card spot at 7-9. Saskatchewan at 6-10. And Vancouver, what a fall from grace, now in the basement of the West at 6-11. And that's your standings following week 20 of the NLL season. And now it's time to get into the state of the fandom. This is DJ's search for a favorite NLL team, where he eliminates teams that just ain't cutting it while he looks for his team to support, because this is DJ's first full year getting into the NLL, enjoying it just as a fan, but he wants to get behind somebody. And after week 20, DJ, how is the state of the fandom looking for the people?
We are booting at least a squad.
Hey-o.
It's weird because they're coming off a win. But I just don't think they have the excitement in the socials, in the fan base, with the mascot, everything else that comes with being a fan. They're a very good team. They have really nice players, even MVP candidate. But yeah, everything else that's missing is quite a bit. I'm going to have to take Albany off the list. Absolutely think Joe Reseteras has been phenomenal this year. Arguably an MVP. Joe Nardella has been great. I mean, I go down the list with guys I like on their squad, but everything else that comes with being a fan is just not it there for me.
So Albany's gone. Saskatchewan's gone. Vancouver is gone. Georgia is gone. Did you eliminate Toronto? I don't think so.
I don't think so. As bad as
Rochester
Yes.
was who was eliminated. So remaining in the hunt for DJ's NLL fandom, the Buffalo Bandits, the Toronto Rock, the Halifax Thunderbirds, the Philadelphia Wings, your New York Riptide, and that's the East. And then in the West, Colorado, San Diego, Calgary, Panther City was put back on the table, and that's the West that's left. So you have 10 teams and Las Vegas still, who we will know their branding next episode. They are still coming in hot. They are still on. So 11 teams still on the table for you, which is pretty dang good with 2 weeks left in the season. A lot of teams have kept you stimulated throughout this long NLL season.
Yeah, and I'm honestly surprised. I thought I would kind of, with so many teams, I thought I would have just been bouncing teams left and right. Like, oh, not good enough, not good enough. You do this, you do that. But like,
and for that reason, I'm out.
Yeah, literally. But like,
Shark Tank them.
They've been great. The socials have been great. A lot of stuff to retweet and keep up with. A lot of the social teams are hilarious. The banter between teams is enough just for me to be like, okay, your social team is someone I need to keep an eye out for. I mean, I've been looking at the fan bases, just watching from TV, kind of how they're interacting with each other, hearing, how they are through the game. That's amazing. I mean, the color schemes are starting to become a big thing now that there's so many teams still left. I'm looking at jerseys I would want to wear. And so, yeah, it's starting to – front offices are now starting to be a thing, looking at these trades and draft picks. Like, all right, I can't go into another Green Bay scenario where my team is pretty good, but our front office just doesn't seem to do the right thing. So there's a lot of factors coming in now that I'm dwindling down, and being an NLL fan is not easy. It is for you because you got the whole geographical thing going on,
and there's family lineage with the Philadelphia Wings.
Yeah,
that was parents' date night back in the day.
Having no previous history and no geographical.
Right, the Turbos were not around when you were.
I mean, if they bring them back,
you got to jump on with them for sure.
They got to at least be my second favorite team.
Right. It'll be similar to the NBA for you, where it's like, oh, here's LeBron, and then I like the Pistons.
Absolutely. I'd be like, hey, here's my favorite team, but those Turbos.
Them hometown boys, though.
Let's get Gary Gate over there coaching.
That'd be fire. Wings legend.
Also a Turbos legend. He won our first and only championship in 91.
It would be sick if they brought the Turbos back and used the old school Pistons colorway.
Ooh. Now you're talking.
That would be dope.
Now you're talking, especially with whatever turbo logo they come up with. I'm interested to see what a turbo is.
Now you know my feelings about the Philadelphia Barrage.
But the Barrage logo looks I like the Barrage logo.
It's okay. It's not my favorite, but it's okay. It's not my least favorite of the old MLL logos. I'll say that.
Which is a whole nother conversation in itself.
Yeah, that'll probably end up being a top 5.
I could be down for that.
But I believe it is time now to feed some ducks and get into our Week 21 NLL Picks of the Week, powered by our homies over at Pickup. Guys, if you don't know who Pickup is, you're sleeping under a rock. They are the hottest place to play the headlines in terms of prop bets. It's all headlines created by content creators like myself and DJ on their website. I'm pretty sure the texting feature's coming soon to DJ, which is going to be electric for us, especially if it's out for us this summer. But right now, go to playpickup.com, start playing the hottest headlines in sports. We have a very fun one for the main show with a bit that Matt and I have with the NL East run differential. You can play the NL East run differential best and worst for the entire season, as well as for every single month of baseball, who you think is going to have the best and worst run differentials in baseball, plus a plethora of NBA, NFL, NHL, MMA, NASCAR, you name it, they got it. And we're going to have a ton of props coming up for the NLL playoffs. So go to playpickup.com, start building up your fan profiles. Anybody can play. It's free to play. You earn points. You cash them in for prizes on the Pickup Marketplace, playpickup.com. DJ, we got a small week this week in terms of NLL games. Only 4 games on the docket. Big time week for our standings, as I believe following last week with us having the same amount of picks being the same, I'm 6 games behind you with 11 to play. So we got a big 4-game stretch here, and it all starts on Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The Calgary Roughnecks, the Alterna Cup champion Calgary Roughnecks, head to Rochester to take on the Nighthawks. Y'all already know what the hell is going on. Give DJ and I both the Alterna Cup champs. You think we gonna pick the 3-13 Rochester Nighthawks? Get out of here. Give me the Calgary Roughnecks, big time.
I'm about to go on and clip my own face because I can't even believe that's a matchup right now. Awful. Oh my God, Calgary's gonna rip them apart. This is one of those games that I wouldn't be surprised to see become a blowout. But at the same time, that Rochester defense has some egos on it, and they get pretty upset when they're getting
heated.
Around. Throw back to that Rochester Philly game down in Philly
all the time.
That got a little heated.
It's like the handshake meme. Tale as old as time is the middle. Rochester and the Philadelphia Wings, Beauty and the Beast. Tale as old as time.
Literally, because that game was electric. But like I could see the same thing happening here. You know, not necessarily a brawl, but they kind of just give them a fight because they're like, hey, like, yeah, we've been getting blown out. Yeah, we've been getting beat up, and we're 3-13. But that doesn't mean you can come in and do it too. Like, you know, we're gonna stand up for ourselves. So it may be a blowout, maybe a little closer, maybe go from 10 goals to like 6. But either way, Calgary's coming out with a win.
The next matchup, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday. I'm hopefully going to try to make my way up there. The New York Riptide hosting the Halifax Thunderbirds. This is a big-time matchup. This is not, like, when we looked at this game probably, like, a month ago, maybe, this is not as difficult. Right now, this is a difficult game to pick. Might be the most difficult of the weekend if I look at these matchups. How do you see this game playing out with your New York Riptide and the Halifax Thunderbirds, Deej?
I'm taking the Island Boys. I think New York Riptide, have been absolutely phenomenal the past few weeks. Offense has been clicking. Like I said, Ron Johns helped that transition and defense out. Orlemans looked great in goal. They've really just been doing all the right things and having fun. I think that's what it is. They were like, okay, we were making that playoff push. It wasn't really going well. So now let's just turn and have fun. And they're just out there having fun with the boys, playing a little stick ball, and they look great. And they're having fun. So I'm going to take New York. I think with the struggles with Halifax, it's going to continue. And they'll go 1-1 over the next 2 weeks. But I don't think this is the game they win in that 2 week span.
I don't disagree with you that the Riptide have looked great outside of their game against the Wings where they only put up 5 goals. I think the biggest thing that I'm taking away from this here is that Halifax needs to win these games to stay in that 3 seed. Like, these are must-win games so they don't drop to the 4. Don't have to worry about any potential wild card implications or anything. They must win these games to stay just kind of in the east side of the bracket and to kind of just, you know, stay firmly entrenched in that 3 seed. So for that reason, I'm taking Halifax to win. Plus, it gives us a differentiating pick, at least in one game this week, of 4. So I'm going to get Halifax on the road to beat the New York. I think this game's going to be very close, though. Don't get it twisted. I think this game's going to be back and forth, very close. Could get physical. This game is going to be must-watch TV this weekend, for sure.
I see what you did there, trying to get a little closer in these stand-ins.
You know.
But, you know, when the Riptide take care of business,
I'm going to be crying.
You're just going to be that one game back, 7 instead of 5.
It's going to be that Simpsons meme where Bart and Milhouse are, like, in the cave, and it's like, this is where I come to cry.
Oh, my God.
It sucks. The next game, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, an inter-conference battle this late in the season is very fun. The Georgia Swarm head down to Dickies Arena to take on Panther City. This is the second toughest matchup, in my opinion, to pick this week. I'm very conflicted.
I think this is the hardest.
Me personally, I know George needs this game. But Panther City also needs it to stay alive in that wild card race. I'm gonna be crazy here. I'm gonna pick Panther City to win this game.
I don't think you're really all that crazy because I'm right behind you.
Oh my God! I thought I was going differentiating pigs.
Nah, I think they're in that mode. You know, now I want to say Cinderella mode, but like, you know, they're that underdog. Like, okay, we got past that hurdle of winning our first game, first couple. Now we're here really proving people wrong. We have a backbone to play on. We have a reason to push and be even better than we are. So I think that driving force is what has been helping them. Is, you know, we can continue to be. We've seen San Diego, we've seen Philadelphia become expansion teams and make it to the playoffs and make things happen. We can be next, you know. So I think they're just riding those coattails pretty much. Like,
fingers crossed we see Philadelphia make the playoffs because we still haven't been there yet. Thank you, Panorama shortened season. But yes, I agree. I think Panthers, and I'm also making this pick kind of based off of they're the home team. Just saying. Final game of the weekend, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, I believe. If I'm reading this website here, the NLL website, a little mishmashed with their fonts this week for some reason. I don't know why either. Normally you can see them bright as day. Sorry, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, or Eastern Daylight Time, if you will. San Diego, Saskatchewan. This is for San Diego to have a home playoff game on the line for them. Saskatchewan looking to play spoiler, looking to play upset, divisional matchup. This one's tough simply because you wouldn't believe this if somebody told you, name this team. 178 goals for, 157 goals against, but they're on a 5-game losing streak.
San Diego.
A 5-game losing streak for the Seals. Does it come to an end at some point? Who knows? Will it be this week? I don't know. DJ, San Diego, Saskatchewan, in Saskatchewan, I believe this game is. How do you see it going down?
I think the losing streak ends this week. I think San Diego picks it up. They cop the dub. You got to take advantage of a game like this, right? You know, like you said, they get a chance to lock up that home field advantage. You don't want to take that pressure into the last week of the season. You don't want to possibly run into a team that's playing for playoff seeding or for playoffs next week, because then you're possibly dropping down to 3 instead of 2 and having that home. Like, there's a lot of things that start to rack up when you take that kind of pressure into next week. And when you're playing a team like the Rush, who have struggled this year, you have to be on your P's and Q's because they win the odd games like these. You know, like last week is a perfect example. They had no business necessarily winning that game last week. At least we thought so. You know, they had no business winning that game last week. But they came out, they played hard, and they won. They win the games they aren't supposed to win. So I think San Diego is thinking that, and they don't want to take that pressure of having to win next week to lock up home field advantage. So I think they take care of business this week and they get the dub against the Rush.
5-game losing streak for San Diego. Friend of the program, Patrick Merrill. Saskatchewan's on a 2-game win streak since they switched up their head coach. They're at home. I stand corrected earlier in the episode, too. This was not Sask Rush Hulk's final home game last week. It is this week. So for that reason, I know they were on my do not pick list for a while, but they did get a little hot here. These two teams hate each other. It's in Saskatchewan. Final Rush Hulk game of his career. I'm taking Saskatchewan to pull an upset. I don't feel confident taking San Diego right now simply because, like, they've been in games and then it just falls apart. Like, they look like they're in the driver's seat, and then halftime happens, and they fall apart. It's exactly what happened last week against Panther City. I just don't feel confident picking them right now when they haven't won in over a month. It's crazy to think about, but until they can prove that they can win again, I don't feel comfortable picking them. Saskatchewan being at home as well, one of the best home floor advantages in all of the league. I'm taking Saskatchewan to pull an upset and forcing San Diego to really play next week to get that potential number 2 seed in the West, especially if Calgary wins this week. They would leapfrog them. So to recap our picks, DJ and I both have Calgary. DJ's going with the Island Boys, the New York Riptide. I almost said Islanders. I'm going with Halifax. We are both going with Panther City. Something tells me we're going to have egg on our face with that game, but we'll ride with the boys. You're going San Diego. I'm going Saskatchewan. And those are our Week 21 NLL picks of the week, brought to you by the homies over at Pickup. Go to playpickup.com now and start playing the hottest headlines in sports. DJ, this has been one of the hardest things to do for me all day. The restraint and self-control I have had to wait until this podcast to do what we're about to do next is off the charts. It's everybody's favorite new segment. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another It is a Drake Porter Do review, not sponsored by this company whatsoever. We just do it because DJ and our fans, and it's fun, and Drake Porter's the homie. We found this flavor. I did not know that this came out literally like the week that the world shut down. I Googled it to be like, okay, when did this come out? Because it seemed relatively new when we were searching through flavors and everything. It came out literally March 23rd, 2020.
Yikes. This ain't gonna give me COVID, is it?
I hope not. No, just kidding. This looks absolutely incredible. I have been on the edge of my seat to crack this thing open. Now, this is also a first for us with our Drake Porter Do reviews. Every other Do review has been a bottle. This is the very first canned Drake Porter Do review because we could not find bottles of this anywhere. This is a Walmart exclusive flavor. It is Mountain Dew Frostbite, and I have to say, from all the flavors we've done so far, which for the people at home, if you don't know the score, the flavors we've done, DJ and I, we do the taste test. We score them on a scale of 1 to 10. We've done Spark, which is raspberry lemonade, relatively new flavor. We've done Live Wire, which is orange, which has been the worst flavor so far. Major Melon, which is watermelon, which has been the second best. And then we did Maui Burst as our last Do review that we've done, which is kind of like right in the middle of our score so far. This one had a fantastic review that I found online that I have to read to the people that I sent to you earlier. It is described as, if you ever wonder what Powerade Mountain Berry Blast would taste like with a testicular death grip, look no further. And I said, oh man, I can't wait to try this. So we are going to do Mountain. This has arguably, too, of all the flavors we've done, best logo branding by far. It's a shark. No free ads, but it's a shark. So I'm excited to see what this tastes like. We are going to crack these open, give you our scores, and see where Mountain Dew Frostbite ranks on the Drake Porter Do review charts. Good cracks.
Amazing.
Let's go. Smells good. Oh, wow. Wow.
I'm so glad this was a case of 12.
Wow.
Boys, do not show up to practice drinking pop, although I will be tomorrow.
it hits you up front with the flavor.
Oh man.
But then it kind of like dies out.
Mm-hmm. It's like blast. It's almost
Yeah.
like blue raspberry.
Very like very like Dum Dum's blue raspberry, like the lollipop almost.
Mm-hmm.
That's the initial taste you get.
Or like blue bomb pop. Like the
Yeah.
blue part of the bomb pop.
Because they say it's like a blue ice flavor with melon, which the melon I think you can kind of get on the aftertaste. Don't know what melon it is. Kind of giving me like, as weird as this sounds, because it typically doesn't have like a taste. It kind of has like honeydew vibes,
I'm glad you said that. 'Cause I
right?
was getting this, yeah. But ironically, honeydew is the only melon I eat.
Like, it's like blue raspberry, like melted blue raspberry Dum Dum meets honeydew.
Yes, yes.
It's weird. I know it sounds weird, but it works.
It's phenomenal. I mean,
What would you eat with this? Like, what would you pair this food wise with?
cookout. This is a cookout pop. All right, you go over to the cooler, knock open the lid, grab a frostbite out. You got you a burnt hot dog with barbecue sauce, some potato salad, and some potato chips. Like that,
Potato chips, yeah.
like the cookout food. Whatever you get with the barbecue grill going, that's what frostbite is for. And it'll be nice to cool you off in the summer as well, much like the Spark. It's a nice,
Yeah.
refreshing drink, but it's also like cooling. Or dessert. It'd be nice with dessert. Piece
Yeah.
of cheesecake.
I have cheesecake in my refrigerator right now.
I also have cheesecake in my refrigerator.
Trying to think. You know what this would be really good with too? Pretzels.
Yes. Yes.
Like those freaking
I'm a big
rolled
fan.
gold or like the just thin pretzel. Oh my god.
The honey wheat johns.
Or even like widely enough like the fucking soft pretzels from Auntie Anne's.
Oh, what you know about Auntie Anne's?
Man, what you know?
That's the spot.
That's the spot. Yes, sir.
That's the
This
spot.
would go well with like an original Auntie Anne's pretzel.
Oh man, you can give me this and that frozen lemonade consistency they have with a bucket of the large cup of pretzel nugs with a cup of cheese. Oh yeah.
The hot dog nugs, bro.
Ooh, them
The hot dog nuggies are
nuggies.
delicious.
Them called pigs in a blanket where I come from.
Oh yeah, they are. But you've heard of Elf on a Shelf. What you know about nuggies and the huggies?
Nuggies and the huggies.
Nuggies and the snuggies.
Wow. Oh man.
This also feels like it would be kind of good with nachos.
Mm-hmm.
Like anything greasy.
Like, other than something cold, I don't really see this going bad.
Yeah.
And like cheesecake is like the only cold thing I can see it being okay.
I'm very glad I had this in the refrigerator too.
Yes. Yes. Putting mine in the freezer because it had been in my car was a phenomenal option.
This also seems like it would be very fun if it was like slushy.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
100%.
It would be phenomenal slushy mode.
All right.
Taco Bell.
I mean, Walmart, do the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Y'all know what y'all got to do.
So I'm going to put this in the database. I don't know. Like, I feel like our barometer equally across the board right now is it better than Spark?
Yes.
Because we both were on the same page with that.
That is exactly what I was thinking.
Where we were kind of similar. I don't know if it's better than Spark. It's certainly better than Livewire. It's certainly better than Maui Burst. I think I'm going to give it an 8.8. That's my official score. 8.8. It's like right under being a 9, simply because the flavor like dies out. It's like a firecracker almost. Like you light it, it goes boom, and then it's gone. Which isn't a bad thing.
I'll make math easy for you. 8.7. 8.7. It's like you said, it's really good, but it's the flavor die off that keeps it from being a 9 or above. Like the only thing that makes Spark better is that the raspberry lemonade was consistent throughout the entire drink, from the time you tasted it until you swallowed them.
And both of those flavors like go bang bang. Like you get the raspberry, you get the lemonade. It's tough to figure out what an artificial flavor like a blue ice is, and we don't know what melon they're exactly trying to go for. It does kind of have, now that I'm like sitting here, it does kind of have that Powerade taste too. Like if you injected that Powerade flavor with just like nitrous oxide, like that's what this is. It's great. Big fan. Like if it's available, yes, give it to me. Like it's good. Big fan of it. And for the people at home that can't do math too well, 8.8 plus 8.7, 17.5. You cut that in half. It's an 8.75, which rounds up, when I learned math, to an 8.8 overall, which is our second best score ever. Second best score ever. It just edges out Major Melon. In my book, I don't think it edges out Major Melon because for me, just like I enjoy that flavor where DJ's not a big watermelon person, but that flavor also is sustained throughout the entire time you're drinking it, where, like we said, this one kind of dies out. But branding wise, it's definitely the best. The shark on the front coming out of like the frozen ocean or whatever it is. Big fan of the shark here. Shark, underutilized mascot. I was picking this up today when I found it, and I said, sharks might be my favorite animal. Like, I was genuinely like, yeah, sharks rule.
Okay, Joss.
So, Frostbite, Blue Ice Melon flavor gets an 8.8 out of 10 on the Drake Porter Do Review scale. And for the people at home, Spark still reigning supreme with an 8.9. Blue Ice Melon Frostbite gets an 8.8. Major Melon has an 8.7. Maui Burst has a 7.6. And Livewire sitting at the bottom with a 7 flat.
Livewire is probably going down as the worst.
I don't know.
We got that
we got a couple on deck.
Yeah.
That we still got to do.
I forgot about that gingerbread one.
We got the gingerbread. We got the flaming hot. In my book, we got Code Red.
I forgot you hate Code Red. I cannot believe you hated that bad.
It's not great. It's not great.
It can't be worse than the flaming hot and the gingerbread, though.
The flaming hot's gonna be dreadful.
Oh my god,
absolutely dreadful.
I'm telling you, when I texted you that earlier, I in my head I was like, let's just get it out the way. Like it's gonna be bad, so let's just do it. That would have been an awful way to open up YouTube.
We got YouTube. We got an exclusive flavor for the YouTube. We were celebrating big time. Man, every time I take a sip, it tastes like something different. Which I'm not mad about. You know what it also kind of has? It has like a hint of like the blue Scooby-Doo gummy.
Oh, yeah, the best one in the bag.
Like, has a hint of it.
I don't know if I'm biased to blue because it's my favorite color, but that's like the best flavor of everything.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Okay, I'm not biased. Cool.
And blue's not even like my favorite color. It's in my top colors, but like it's not my favorite. But blue flavor is the best flavor, 9 times out of 10.
I just had to make sure I wouldn't be biased.
No, not at all. It also kind of has like a little bit of like Glacier Freeze Gatorade taste.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you refrigerate that flavor of Gatorade.
Yes.
What an interesting flavor.
And a little bit of that Arctic Blitz one.
Yes, yeah.
How
Ooh,
does this
no,
taste like so
nope.
many different things?
You know what it is? It's the blue squirt bottle Gatorade.
The
That's the
cool
taste.
blue.
Yeah, but out of that squirt top nozzle, that's what I'm tasting.
That might have to just be a segment in its own. Why does Gatorade taste different in all its different flavors?
Right? Oh, I also have to. I also have to denote on here that this was a can.
Yes, that's true.
Could taste different in a bottle. We don't
Yeah.
know.
We're gonna have to
But when we
eventually
do,
find this on the road.
that's pretty good for the cans, though. For the can to start off at an 8.8 is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
It's a good sign. Because I will say, I've had other flavors in a can and it's not as good.
Like the one flavor from Taco Bell.
Agreed.
I don't think it tastes anywhere near as good in a can.
No. You got to get that from Taco Bell.
Even the bottle's okay.
Yeah, the bottle's good.
The can is we're getting a little...
Some's a little funky there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that is our Drake Porter Dew review. It's been a while since we've done that. But we get the Frostbite in our first exclusive flavor, too. We have some more in the pipeline, though.
I think the Maui Burst was exclusive to Dollar General.
I got mine at just like the random like Express Mart.
Well, the website also said that this one was a Walmart exclusive,
And it had it at dollar stores and stuff too.
Yeah, and this place called Harding's here in Michigan. It's a grocery store.
Okay.
I was like, okay, that's kind of
Walmart. Can see that.
Walmart might own all the Hardings because it's
Maybe.
a smaller thing. So, but I was like, that's weird. It's weird how they like say it's an exclusive, and then you get on there and look at the locator, and it's like, oh yeah, that little corner store you've been going to your whole life. Yeah, we got it there too.
We got it throwing down. Not a bad start for the cans. Pretty solid flavor. Frostbite. And like DJ said, very glad that we got those in a 12-pack.
Yes.
Let's get into the big retirement news of the week. Jordan Wolf calls it a career. Was really a big shock to you and I when you sent me the text about it. I was blown away that Jordan Wolf was hanging it up. We were both at his final game. Unfortunately, ended with an injury. Didn't think that's how Jordan Wolf was going to go out. I thought he was going to try to ramp back up for one more year and, go out there with the men on ESPN. But man, Chrome is just a slew of guys either on the holdout list now, retire, not playing this year, cut. Like, they are really going to have to revamp this team a lot. And I mean, Jordan Wolf's a legend. Switched his number from 32 to 33 to honor Kobe. Obviously, they both went to the same high school. Shout out Lower Marion. He's just a legend. Man of few words. Anytime I talked to Jordan, it was very quick, concise answers, and it's like very straight to the point. But just a weapon on the field. And it's going to suck not seeing Jordan Wolf out there because he was electric anytime the ball was in his stick.
Yeah, it's different when the first time you see a guy play, he's playing in the national championship and he scores a game winner. It really changes your perspective on that kind of guy because, like, obviously you don't know much about him, but then you see, like, okay, not only does his team trust him, but his coach trusts him in the most important game of the season at the most important moment. He's got to be somebody to watch, and then you see him step into the MLL, the PLL, and do the things he's done, and you're like, this is the reason the game continues to grow. It's because of players like Jordan Wolf. It was tough, like you said, being at his last game and seeing the way he went out. I was much along your lines. I thought he was going to come back at least for one more, and give things a go. But now,
because he was on a tear last year too, in that opening weekend, and then to just see him go down, it was just like you felt something in Gillette Stadium. It was just like, oh no.
Yeah, everybody kind of knew right away it was a serious injury. He was going to be out for a while. It was tough to see, because that changed Chrome's entire season. They took a very different approach offensively, and they suffered from not having his speed and his leadership, his IQ. Um, but now it opens so much for them draft wise moving forward. We've talked about it. What were they going to do? Were they going to keep Jackson Murrill at X? Were they going to draft a new X guy? What were they going to do? I think them drafting a new X guy is now more of a possibility. We could see Chris Gray get solidified at the number 1 pick and see the offense shift around. But, I brought up a couple times to you them leaving Jackson Murrill at X and drafting a Nakai Montgomery. Or
you also brought up Matt Moore.
Yeah, Matt Moore, who could run up top. We see him run up top with Virginia a lot, and I think that's why I brought it up is he's moved into that hybrid role already where he's taking that pole up top or he's just switching with a midfielder and playing up top as midfield in their offensive sets. So it wouldn't be much of an adjustment for him. I brought up Nakai Montgomery. I even think Brendan Nickturn could be another one of those kids that could make that transition up top. You think Jackson Murrill could and be a lot like Jules? I just like him at X so much and what he did with that offense last year that was struggling. He kept them in a lot of games playing back at X. So I don't know if you want to mess with his momentum and what he's had going. But losing Jordan Wolfe, not only on the field, but more for his leadership and what he does for the game is the big part.
They're such a young team now, too, Chrome, that, like, I'm trying to just think of the guys on their roster. I'm actually going to pull it up here just to think about who was on that team in 2019 and who's still there now.
Bernhardt.
There's not that many. Like
Farrell.
Connor Farrell was there 2019. Bernhardt was 2020. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah, I think he did.
Because he came over in the expansion draft. Connor Farrell's the only one that comes to mind off the top of my head, and I'm probably forgetting a number of guys.
I would say...
John Rannigan, Jordan McIntosh.
I was going to say like all the retired guys.
Yeah.
Wolf, Galloway, White, Crotty.
But even like now, it's Connor Farrell, it's Rannigan, Jordan McIntosh. Was James Barclay there in 2019?
I don't think so. I think he was a 2020. I may be wrong, but I think he was a 2020.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, he was with Whipsnakes in 2019. Duh. He was like their backup defenseman for that core of defense that they had. And he got taken in the he was moved around. Yeah, he was... he got traded. I forget what trade he was in. James Barclay was traded from Whipsnakes to Chrome for somebody.
Might have been draft pick.
Maybe.
Well,
he was definitely traded. Let me see if it's in his bio. Because he was 1,000% traded. Because he won a championship with them. Yeah, he was traded to Chrome prior to the 2020 PLL season. What happened here? Let's see. Oh, yeah. Duh. That was like that weird trade that Chrome ended up winning. Whipsnakes got Max Tuttle from Chrome. And Chrome got Foster Huggins and James Barclay. Looking back on that trade, Chrome won that trade.
Yeah, I remember that trade now.
That's very weird that Whipsnakes in their existence have lost 2 trades. Kind of wild.
Have won that many championships.
And they've won a trade as well. Obviously, getting gutty for pennies on the dollar.
Well, did they win that trade or did they lose? Because the 2 times they lost a trade, they won a championship. The first time they win a trade, they lose the championship.
I think they won that trade because you get, up until a couple years ago, the all-time leading college scorer ever, and a guy that I think this year, going into 2022, more so than like just a weird, trade deadline trade. Like 2022, I think now Stags has an opportunity to really incorporate Gutty into their offense in a way that we didn't really get a chance to see because it was kind of forced and rushed last year because of the trade deadline and just trying to work him into the rotation almost. I think Gutty's going to have a bounce back year this year.
Well, I was just saying, I wouldn't be surprised to see them make an awful trade this year because that just seems to be the key. They lose 2 trades, they win a championship. They win a trade, they lose a championship. It's not coincidental if you ask me. I'm just saying, it's not coincidental if you ask me. That's 3 times. 3 times. Hey, they say 3 is a special number. Working in media and audio, 3 times. You hear something 3 times, it sticks, right?
That's true.
2 times they lose, they win a championship. 1 time they win, they don't.
Shout out to Jordan Wolf, though. Legend. Just another, add him to the list. An iconic retirement list it has been this PLL offseason. We are going to end on a very fun new segment. We're going to go through Lacrosse Reddit and find just hilarious topics. We're naming it after Christian Del Bianco because he is #online. So it's the Christian Del Bianco Lacrosse Reddit topic of the week. And DJ and I were scrolling before the show. Didn't really read too much of this one, although he has seen this one in the past. This is from just a week ago on Lacrosse Reddit. I'm going to read the comments, too, which we did not go through. The first comment. I think we should do the first comment on every post, if it's a lot of them, because this first comment is hilarious. So, for everybody at home, the topic on this one is, my stepson is jealous of my lacrosse skills. I have been playing lacrosse for 20 years and played at Yale when I was younger, and to put it lightly, I'm really good. You can catch me every Saturday absolutely destroying the men's league scene in South Dakota every Sunday. My new wife's son is 12 and decided to pick up the sport. The kid can't ball handle for shit, and by the grace of my heart, I tried to bestow some of my godly knowledge of the sport on him. He doesn't listen and can't get it through his head. I said if he can't ball handle, he should hop in goal, and so I bought him some gear and threw him in cage. When I started ripping top cheddar 90 miles per hour and he couldn't save, he started complaining to me like he won't see these shots in game. My wife and I have to bond with him over My wife says I have to bond with him over lacrosse, but he's already proved not worthy of my lacrosse knowledge, and he's not willing to hop in cage while I take rips. What am I supposed to do?
Man said when I'm ripping 90 top check.
So this is obviously satire for the people at home. Like, I'm going to say it's 90% satire. There's probably some truths in here, but I think it's 90% satire.
Like ripping top chat at 90 that's a proof. That's real.
Yeah. I don't know if Buddy went to Yale.
Yeah, that's probably cat.
Like, unless this is Ben Reeves.
Because homie lives in South Dakota.
Right.
Wait, there's men's league in South Dakota?
Right. So this is where the first comment comes in and says, peak satire, here's what you should do. Realize that you live in South Dakota. That's tough, but you can overcome it. Next, you got to have sex with your wife. Don't worry, I'll give you a turn tomorrow night. Lastly, if you're lucky enough, you can lock your stepson in the basement with a gaming rig, and you'll have a kid with your genes cradling coming out the womb. Edit. Some have asked how will we know it's OP's son. Great question. If it's my kid, he'll get into a real Ivy League like Harvard or Princeton and be ripping corners, topping out at like 103 instead of the 90s like OP.
I am dead. I guess it's just funny for me because, like, I've been trying to help my goalie get ready, and I'm ripping on him like 80, 85 top ched. He's like, I can't see the ball. I was like, you're going to see him in game.
There's a couple other funny comments. Duct tape the stick to little nerd's hands and tell him no dinner until he has a D1 offer. Have you
I
tried?
wouldn't be able to eat.
Have you tried yelling at him to be better? Maybe he just needs to try harder. And somebody responded and said, "I hear running sprints helps with that."
Oh,
This one, I do not condone the nature of this, but it says, "Idiot kid should just learn to fogo if he can't pass, catch, or play goalie." You gotta be a whole athlete to be a face-off guy now.
and you got to be able to pass and catch.
And here's the funniest one of all time. Kid was born in a state that isn't Maryland, Colorado, or New York. He's fucked. Maybe try tennis.
I'm gonna take a little bit of offense to that.
Well, somebody responded, "So that's why I'm garbage." Noted.
Oh man, I'm just us Midwest guys are coming. All right, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, putting together some pretty good lacrosse players. I'll even give Iowa a kick in there. Des Moines has been popping off. We don't talk about that one state that starts with the letter that comes before P. It's down south.
This is the funniest thing. Kid's never going to make it. Buy him a baseball glove. What a post. So that's our first dive into the Lacrosse Reddit rabbit hole that will pop up from time to time. Shout out to Christian Del Bianco, the boy, for our Lacrosse Reddit topic of the week. We'll post that on Twitter as well and try to get more involved with the Lacrosse Reddit, which we'll be posting on our socials, which you guys should be following us at OTBLaxPod on Twitter and Instagram. Follow DJ on Twitter at SCS_next. Great. Follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com, for all of our written content. Join our Twitter community. It is open to the public now. Come in there, get your lacrosse takes off, your tweets, your funny videos, memes, all that good stuff. Keep it respectful. You know, we got to keep it pop. We got some prestigious peeps in there. But let's have some fun in our Twitter community, and subscribe to the podcast feeds, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Like we said, we'll read Apple Podcasts reviews on the show, but they got to be 5 stars. 5 stars only. We have standards. We know you do too, and we know they're 5 stars. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. Search Underground Sports Philadelphia on YouTube. Subscribe. Click the thumbs up, the bell icon, so you don't miss a video. Leave comments on these videos, because we'll implement that as a segment. OTB YouTube comment of the week, something like that. So leave comments on the YouTube and subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend that we are now on YouTube. Big thank you to our sponsors, Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game. Go to tomahawkshades.com, use promo code USP for 25% off your entire order at tomahawkshades.com. Kenwood Beer, go to kenwoodbeer.com and use the Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. You got to be 21 or older to do so, and of course, please drink responsibly. And the boys over at Bino Board, go to binoboard.com, that's BINHOBOARD.com, and use our code BINHOUSP, BINHOUSP, for 10% off your order to get a leapfrog jump on DJ and I this summer when we're playing all of you in every single parking lot we're in on our PLL tour. But this has been episode number 218 of the allegedly award-nominated, honorably mentioned, and now on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, part of the Underground Sports Philadelphia podcast network. For DJ, I'm KB, and until next week, we are getting the hell out of here. Peace.
Peace.